All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to share with you guys a few things you can do to open your hips. And depending on how I feel about moving furniture, I may or may not make a video about how to use the wall to help open your hips as well, because there are a lot of fun props you can use in your yoga practice that will help you to go deeper and help you to do so safely. So anyway, we're gonna keep this really mild. Our hips, like our shoulders, are a ball and socket joint. So they have a 360 movement, right? So you can have your hips tight in the front. They can be tight in the inner groin. They can be tight on the sides. So we're gonna do a little bit to cover all of that. So I'm gonna skip the meditation. We're just gonna get right into it. I recommend having a pillow, especially if your knees bother you, nearby. Actually, two pillows nearby. Two pillows. I have three because I want extra cushion. Just have all the pillows, okay? All right. So we're gonna start. We're gonna do a low lunge. You may have seen this before in another video I did, but I'm actually gonna go this way so you can see a different angle. But the lunge is actually really great because when we come up, it's going to open the front of our hip. And those are our hip flexors. And they tend to get really, really tight because we sit all day. Scooch over for you. Okay. All right. So you can place a pillow underneath that back knee, left or right, doesn't matter because we're going to do both sides. If you want a deeper stretch here, you can curl your back toes under, so the toes of your back foot, or you can have that back foot flat. You choose. You might start with the toes curled under, and when you come up, be like, no, and flatten your foot. That happens to me all the time because it does intensify the stretch. All right, so when you're ready, let's come on up. Let's make sure that your front knee is over your ankle. It's okay if it's a little behind, but we don't want it past our ankle, right? So knee over ankle or a little behind. Back knee is directly underneath your back hip, so stacking the joints, yeah? Awesome. And then from here, I like to imagine that I'm like a Barbie doll or like a G.I. Joe. You know when the doll's bent over and you kind of have to straighten it up? So that's kind of what we're doing with our pelvis. So we're just straightening up. Imagine a string from your tailbone pulling into the earth, right? Really, really engage your back glute, right? And so we engage the back body. That helps open up the front body. And the glutes are a really big muscle, and they often tend to be one of the most underactive muscles because we sit so much in our daily lives. And that can cause a lot of hip issues. That can cause a lot of lower back issues, right? The whole body works together. So really, really engage that back booty cheek. And you might already feel an opening in the front of that hip right here. I know I do. So just take a few deep breaths here. You can stay here. You can reach your arms overhead. I'm giving a lot of options because everybody is different and every day is different, right? So as long as you're here, you're getting that stretch in your hip, right? So arms up, added bonus. You might feel your arms feel tired or weak today and you want to keep them on your hips, or your arms or lats might be really tight. And if you reach them up, you feel like you have to arch your back and then that doesn't feel good. So if that's where you're at right now, you can always reach your arms straight in front to modify or keep them on your hips. Keep breathing. You might already be feeling it. You might have been feeling it. You might be frustrated still being here. Just allow yourself to notice all of that. But really try to keep that energy in that back glute. So notice if it starts to relax and you hinge back forward. Keep standing upright here. So we're going to turn this into a stretch for our TFL. It's hip flexor as well as an abductor. So it helps to take your leg up and away from you. And that's at our 45-degree point. So your front leg, you're just going to walk over 45 degrees. And now you're going to turn towards it. Keep that energy in that back glute. So again, you can stay here, hands on your hips. You can reach your arms up overhead. If you want a little added stretch, you can grab hold of, for me, it's my right because my right leg is down. So whichever arm is on the same side as your leg that is down, grab that wrist and just gently lean away. And imagine that there's a wall to the side of you and you're just pressing that hip of your bottom leg into it. So just a gentle press. We're not going super far. We still want to keep that alignment, hip over back knee, but just a gentle, gentle press into it. Whew. Let out a whoo. It feels really tight. Let's take a deep breath here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Woo. One more. Breathe in. Breathe out. Don't make funny noises. Okay. You got your arms up, lower them down. Gently bring that front foot forward. Gently hinge forward, let that go. Okay, you can just come to hands and knees. You can rock your hips side to side. You can even shake out whichever leg you had been stretching. Yeah, so if your quadriceps are tight, that's definitely going to impact your knees. If they're weak, that's going to impact your knees. I've been speaking with a lot of people that have, myself included too, if their knees bother them from time to time. The knee is a joint located between two very mobile joints, your hip and your ankle. So if your knee's bothering you, look to your hip, look to your ankle, see where you can find a bit more opening and a bit more strength. Okay, so let's do the other side. So whichever leg, I did the same one, okay. Whichever leg you didn't do before, step it in front. Again, you can curl your back toes under or keep that back foot flat. Really, really, really engage that back glute. And whenever we go from right to left, I always like to take a moment, just notice which side feels tighter, what feels different, right? Did you feel more balanced? Do you feel like maybe you sit into one hip more than the other? Good, breathe here, and any variation you like in the arms, so arms up, arms in front, hands to your hips. And if you're maybe starting kind of hinged off, just gradually see if you can stand up more and more. Shoulders over hips. All right, so we're gonna get into that TFL now, the tensor fascia lata, my favorite drink at Starbucks. Okay, so you're gonna move your front leg about 45 degrees in whichever direction. My right leg, so I'm going 45 degrees to the right. If it's your left leg in front, it would be to the left. You can again place your hands on your hips if you like. Gently turn towards your front thigh. All right, so we're going for that 45-degree point here. You can keep your hands on your hips. You can reach them up high. If you like, you can grab hold of the wrists that's on the same side as that bottom leg and lean away. Wherever you're at, just energetically imagine there's a wall right next to that bottom leg and gently, just gently press your leg into it. Like you want to touch it, but you don't want to touch that wall so much that the wall falls away. It's kind of like a dog or a cat that you don't necessarily know very well, but you want to be friends with. So you want them to know you're there, but you don't want to touch them so much that they run away or try to bite you or anything. Breathe in, breathe out. Make funny noises if it's tight. Breathe in, breathe out. 2 more, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And gently lower arms down if they were up. Walk that front leg back. Gently hinge forward, back to your hands and knees, let that go. Again, you can rock your hips side to side. You can shake out that back leg. Make some noise. Woo, baby. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go into our lizard lunge now. All right, so I'm just gonna come to the side so you can see. Again, you can keep that pillow handy for your back knee. I'm gonna start on my right side. So you're just gonna step your right foot forward, so that your hands are on the inside of that foot, and you can really just relax that back leg. Give you a little view from the front if you're like, how is your foot, Hannah? So it looks like this from the front, right? And I like to, rather than muscle into this and like go immediately onto my forearms, because that's also an option. I'm actually liking from the front. I feel like y'all get a better view that way. Right. And then my foot gets to rest in the leaves. It's kind of yucky. Okay. So this is if you're like on your forearms, right? So rather than like muscling straight into that, I like to start on my palms. If being on your palms here is even tough, you can place a pillow, a block, anything under your hands to kind of elevate you. That makes the stretch a little less intense. I like to start off slow and just really breathe into my hips and try to find a little bit of softening, a little bit of surrender on every exhale. Whew. And then maybe I go lower, right? Or maybe I don't. If you're like me, you might also feel a little tightness in your hamstring here, because it's also working that just a bit. You can stay here for quite some time, right? This can be an active posture, or it can be a passive posture. We're being a bit more passive with it. And so when we are being more passive, we definitely want to start at a place that feels maybe not extremely comfortable, but comfortable enough that we can manage to be there for a few minutes even, right? Don't get scared. We're not going to be here for a few minutes. Rather than, like, again, like I said, rather than starting off like really pushing yourself, forcing your way into the posture, just come wherever feels natural to you. As natural as being in this position might feel. So let's take one more big breath in. Phew, one more big breath out. Okay. And gently, I like to gradually inch my arms forward, so you can just gently walk them back if you were doing something like that. And bring it back. And again, you can rock your hips out. Making all the noises. Shake your back leg out. Goodness gracious. Okay. And we're going to come to the other side. So step your left foot, or if you did your left before, do your right now, in front. And if you can't step it there, you can always grab by your calf and hop it forward and pretend you're in the Thriller music video or something like that. So really just sink that back right hip down. Notice which side's tighter. This is noticeably easier for me over here. Yeah. And something I find really fun when you're in these like hip opening postures, or postures that are a bit more passive, where you stay a bit longer and kind of really just rely on your breath and surrender to deepen. I really like to notice, where can I move, or where can I find movement? So can I gradually like relax my hip back more, like stretch from my tailbone back? Can I gradually relax my right hip down more? Just things to experiment with, just noticing. And you might be extra stiff this today, or whenever you're watching this, and not feel as much movement. Or you might just not be aware of those muscles because you haven't necessarily spent much time or practice noticing them or moving them, the muscles around your hips, around your pelvis. So just fun to explore. And again, you can always lower onto your forearms, pillows, blocks if you have them. I personally, when I'm here, I like to just kind of walk my hands forward just a little bit and pretend I'm in a music video and stretch my bum back. Just take a few breaths. Let's take one more breath in. One more breath out. And nice and slow, walk yourself back if you came forward or if you were on your forearms. Come back to hands and knees. Shake it out, shake it out. Shake out that back hip. All right. All right. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we're going to do a little pigeon on our back. So I'm just going to move this pillow out of the way. What's that? This is going to get more like in our glute area. So you're just going to come onto your back. I'm going to do the left leg first so you can see. You're going to cross your left ankle just past your right knee and flex your left foot. Yeah. And we want to keep the flexion in the foot. This stabilizes the lower leg and protects our knee. So the opening is coming from our hip and not our knee, right? So you might be like, why do I have to flex my foot? You don't have to do anything, but flexing the foot really does help to protect that knee and stabilize your lower leg. So you can stay here and use your left hand to just gently nudge your left thigh away from you. Or you can interlace your fingers. There's going to be a little triangle that's going to form behind your right thigh and hug your right thigh in. Now, if grabbing your right thigh causes you to like, yeah, you make that noise maybe, or just reach off of your mat and it's just super uncomfortable, we don't really want that whole rounding in the back going on here. We want to just focus on that hip. So if that's happening, just keep that back leg down and just use your hand to just gently nudge it away. So wherever you're at, let's take 3 breaths. So breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. One more inhale. Exhale. And let that go. Shake it out, shake it out. Okay. And we'll do the other side. So just cross your ankles so it's past your left knee now. Again, you can keep that bottom left leg down and just use your right hand to nudge your right thigh away. Or if it feels good to you, you can interlace your fingers behind your left thigh and just hug that thigh in, or not, just hold the thigh, right? Hold the thigh. Terrible, terrible try on hold the door. You like Game of Thrones fans. Okay, just breathe here. Let's take 2 more breaths. So just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and gently let that go. And again, you can shake it out, shake it out. All right, we're gonna gently come on up. We're gonna do one more thing. This is frog pose. You're either gonna be like, okay, I'm cool with frogs, or you're gonna hate it. Full disclosure. But this is a really nice opener for your inner groin. Also, like, oh, if this is tight, your hips aren't gonna open as much. But it can be hard on your knees. So I definitely recommend having 2 pillows. I have 3 because this one's kind of not as big, but I guess I'll move that out of the way. So, all right. You know what? Let me just 2 of the same pillow. Duh, Hannah. Okay, so you're gonna place your pillows on your mat, a bit wider than hip width. You're gonna open your knees out. Ladies, it's kind of like you're at the gynecologist. You're gonna flex your feet, right? So I don't know if you can see my feet are flexed. I want my ankles in line with my knees, right? So trying to keep my ankles in line with my knees. Does that matter? Like if they're out here, it's not the biggest deal ever, but it's just a detail, okay? Main thing is, right, if you feel any like intense pain, you're like, I can't be here, don't be here. I'll give you an option for modification in a moment. But, right, once you're here, you can stay on your hands, right? Think about keeping your knees in line with your hips, and we're just gonna open up as best we can, right? So you can stay here. You can scream in your head. You can scream aloud. Breathe. And maybe you come onto your forearms, right? But the goal is, or the idea is that one day your inner thighs will kiss your mat. Will that actually happen, like ever? Who knows, right? But it's a practice. This posture has definitely over time become more comfortable to me than it was when I first was introduced to it. So if that's any help. All right. Modification if you're like frogs, no thank you. So it's not the same posture, but it's similar in shape. You can always take a happy baby. It's also similar to when we're at the gyno, probably more similar. So you just come on your back, hug your thighs in by your armpits, flex your feet. You can grab hold of your feet here. If grabbing your feet, just like in your modified pigeon pose, makes your back round or lift up, you can just grab your thighs, grab your calves. Just think about opening up your groin here, right? So similar shape to our frog, not exactly the same, but close enough, right? Wherever you're at, let's just take 5 deep breaths. All right, let's take one more breath. Breathe in, breathe out. And nice and slow, press yourself up. If you're on your happy baby, you can just let go of your legs. If you're in your frog, just gently walk your toes back towards one another. Gently send your bum back. Whee. Bring your knees in. Hallelujahs. Those hips are open, more open than they were before, hopefully. And I hope that's helpful to you. If it is, drop in the comments. I'd love to know. If you have any questions, if there's anything, any other body part or thing like that that you'd like some attention to, drop it in the comments below. Happy hips for everybody, and have a beautiful Wednesday. Namaste.